From Lalate News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on Lalate.
It's a big midday here on Lalate with incredible details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. We'll be going over that monthly stimulus check those Democrats still want you to have. And then we'll be cutting in the second part of this video to the two-path process, reconciliation and bipartisan. Reconciliation has your monthly stimulus checks and a lot more checks across the board for you as well. And then the third part of this video, we go over the voting path and the linking versus non-linking. It's a lot to celebrate and a lot to make Mitch McConnell very angry. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, and fifth stimulus heats up this fall with another stimulus check for next year and raises your benefits lifetime. We have a lot of breaking news at noontime. Statements by Jalapal, the president, Nancy Pelosi, also comments by Mitch McConnell. Hi, Mitch. And then we have incredible details about economic recovery that signals where we're going for fifth stimulus, and a big new twist coming out of Los Angeles, which may signal we may be getting more stimulus checks. OMG. I have all the breaking news in this big noontime broadcast. It's a big day. It's a big noontime. Let's get to the details, starting right here, right now, on Noontime Lalate. Hey, good noontime, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful midday across the board. You know, it's not particularly hot, but it's starting to get muggy here, and I'm not liking it. It's a little bit like stuffy air, sort of like when Mitch walks in the room. The weather is good where you are. Jump on the live chat. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this recording, we'll be going over that monthly stimulus check that the Democrats still want you to have. Then the second part of this video, we'll be going over the two-path process. One viewer, before the video started to play, say, when are they going to start the vote-a-rama? Well, that's the third part of the video, where we go over the voting process. Remember, we're doing it a different way than we were supposed to do it a week ago. So I'll explain that as well, so you understand the voting process. And then we turn to fifth stimulus, raising up your benefits, another stimulus check. And then, boy, on Evenings Lalate, we had viewers. We had a live chat, and we had about $50,000 of money people are getting. We're going to go over what viewers are getting and why you can get it as well. It's a big noontime, and this is Lalate, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, like right now, and then taped in the afternoons with Afternoons Lalate, starting at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, followed by Evenings Lalate at 5, and then overnights Crypto at 5:30. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, 400,000 in 1 year. Next stop, just a few hundred away from 410,000 subscribers. Let's do it today. Also, like this video. Every time you like a video, it helps in the algorithm ranking. It also helps deliver extra tartar sauce for Mitch's Lobsters. And consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the channel, the pinned comment. Let's get right into that stimulus check, those monthly stimulus checks from the Democrats in the House and Senate. And let's go over why there is a major twist in the last 24 hours, actually even the last 12 hours, that could signal more checks for you. Ooh, let's do that analysis starting right now. House bill, monthly checks, pandemic plus 1 year. Senate proposal, stimulus checks July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House, $2,000 first month, $1,000 thereafter. Senate monthly unknown, but word on the street, the senators want to pay you this. Oh my goodness. Now that's deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000 a person, or $1,400 over 6 months, $80 for $100 a person. If you're on the live chat just after 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, get ready to vote House or Senate, and tell me where you're tuning in from. But there's this wrinkle. Now, over the last week, you've heard me say, well, they may contend the pandemic's over, and that would reduce you to just 12 months of checks from those House members. Well, here's the breaking news in the last 24 hours, if you've not heard it. In California, where Nancy Pelosi is currently from, of course, the city and county of Los Angeles shocked the country overnight, announcing the mask mandate, lifted less than 2 weeks ago, is back voluntarily with strong urging, saying that people indoors, vaccinated should wear masks immediately because they now fear that they do not have enough data about the Delta variant, which now comprises 50% of all cases in LA County. Well, that may signal, when we're looking at House pandemic plus 1 year, suggestion that maybe we will get pandemic plus 1 year. Not just 1 year of checks, which over the House is more than potentially $13,000. So with that breaking news, vote right now. House or Senate, House or Senate, which one you like? House or Senate, tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? Isn't that surprising? Things are changing by the hour, and I have all the details, of course, with you. Who gets a forced stimulus check? You do. $75,000 or less. The Democrats would give you a forced stimulus check if you're a single individual. Married couple, $150,000 or less. The Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Democrats would give you a forced stimulus check. Everyone who got a third stimulus check, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. The forced stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone. It is not income, so it's not taxable. And the forced stimulus check would come monthly. It would not come in waves. So if you see the check at the hair salon in San Francisco today, and you try to wave at the check, say, "Hey, check, I see you getting a perm. How's that? Is that how's that going with that check?" And the check doesn't wave back. Don't take it out on the check. It's not a rude check. That style went out in the 1970s. What do you think you are on, MacGyver? It's not a rude check. It just has a better hairstyle. There you go. The forced stimulus check would cover the month of July for the month of July, and in the month of August for the month of August. The Democrats represent you will be getting the check for the month of July, and they would be calling the vote by July 4th. And there you go. In the second part of this video, we go over the two-path process. Your money's in the recon. The money that doesn't concern you is not in the recon. I love it. And we'll go over those details in the second part of this video. Then in the third part, we go over the breaking news as Jalapal, the president, and one of your villains from 2020 is back as now the hero of 2021. Oh yes, she had wonderful comments about your recon and what she's doing to protect it. The fort around your stimulus is getting very fortified, and we'll go over all the details in the second half of this video. But let's turn to the preview of that fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus heats up this fall with another stimulus check for next year and raising up your benefits lifetime. And we have new economic data out of Washington. A lot of breaking news today. And internationally, that signals inflation's going up a lot. Well, this is great news for your benefits, and we'll go over all the details in that. But get a pen and paper ready, because we're going to go over some big money. And that's what this channel does. I give people money. Last year, viewers needed money as we were waiting for second stimulus to pass, much like now in December. And people needed money over the holidays. Well, I stepped up and I got people $250,000 of money, including rent. Like viewers like Tyrone got $15,000 for his family of four in Boston in December. Well, yesterday on Evenings LA, I asked viewers several times to jump in the live chat and say, what monies have you got? I don't care if it's $100. I don't care if it's more. And you killed it. I think we saw about somewhere between $50,000 to $80,000 of money mentioned by just the viewers in the chat. Viewers were getting $10,000 for rent over and over again. $5,000 was on the low end. Most viewers were far in excess of $5,000. There were thousands of dollars for utilities per person. And the SNAP numbers were absolutely through the roof. SNAP numbers were enormous, about over $6,000 a year. It was incredible. So jump in the live chat right now if you got anything as well, because every time you do that, inspire someone else to get that money. And I'll go over how you get that money right now. So get a pen and paper ready. And if it must be Crayola Crown, I am wearing your Crayola blue right now. So we're going to get our rent, utilities, mortgage, and also homeowners utilities. And it pays a lot. I've been saying that the rent is about $5,000 a month, $5,000 about 4 to 6 months. But I've been wrong, because viewers are just getting $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 every single day. It's just incredible. You have been doing a great job. Keep on doing it. So what are you going to do? You're going to reach out to different places. I'm going to show you, and each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. And you're ready? Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage assistance because of COVID, utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know. Don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's wonderful dance moves. They don't know those words. I don't want to know those words. I don't even want that visual. So don't say those words. And there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda and all the viewers across the board who got this big money. And if you got anything, jump in the live chat. That's what we do on this channel. We are cashing checks. We are not tracking checks. The next part of this money is wonderful, and it's Snap. And viewers are killing it. Nisi said, hey, Lalate, thank you. You educated me. I got rent, utilities, and Snap. Norm got rent and Snap. And so viewers are getting multiple things. How much is a Snap? It's a lot. A family of four in Hawaii gets now upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because there's two wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raised everyone's benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. SNAP is money for your food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. Call up Department of Agriculture. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it as well. Well, you're killing it. I'm killing it. The viewers are just, you're all killing it. And we're only 10 minutes into the video. We got to $15,000, $16,000 for SNAP for family of four in Hawaii. Over $5,000 for that rent. And now we got more money right now. And that money is coming back from your states. The states have been identified to pay you back money due to computer error. The states have overpaid your unemployment benefits due to computer error and asked you to return the money. Well, you're getting it back. The federal government has ordered it returned to you. Wow. One viewer got $5,000 for this. Where? Direct deposit. That's what's set up on your unemployment department website. When? Reach out to your state and say, hey, state, where is that money due to computer error? Can you track it for me, my check? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? And finally, the last part of the money is the IRS refund. If you got that as well, jump in the live chat, because every time you share that information, it tells someone else it's coming. Let's go over when, where, and how to track it. Yes. So let's go over how much. It's a lot. Family, if let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits, you paid $5,000 total tax bill, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where are you getting it? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail, whatever you had set up on that tax return. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah. About 70% of the time. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, and do a transcript search. And you'll be shocked. The details will reveal stuff that you never knew. Some stuff you don't want to know either. It will reveal the tax return you file, the taxes you paid. Where does Mitch get that hairstyle from? It will reveal. How do you sign up for Mitch's fan club? And finally, when are you getting that refund check? And boy, can we top that? We can, as we go into the big, exciting details of the second part of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In the second part, we're going to go over why the situation is so much better today than it was a week ago. Summary, number one, identity. Finally, you have identity for your stimulus. And number two, you have real clear protection for it. What's at issue? Over the last 3 weeks, your fourth stimulus has been in a reconciliation. What's a recon? It is something that passes with only Democratic votes in this case. Well, what happened in the last 3 weeks? Reportedly, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were having meetings with the president saying, Mr. President, the recon's a little bit too big. Can we take some stuff out of it? And he said, yeah. So finally, last Wednesday, they decided to take some stuff out of the recon and spin it off in a spin-off show, sort of like a show where it has too many cast members and you spin something off. And what do they spin off? Roads and Bridges. The name of the spin-off? Nash Bridges. No, that's not Nash Bridges. It was called Roads and Bridges, otherwise called Bipartisan. Bipartisan was born as a spin-off show, Roads and Bridges, not Nash Bridges. And that gave us two paths. Your original recon that has all your stuff in it, and the bipartisan. How delicious is that? Now, why is this great? Because all your stuff is still where it was, thank you. It is still in the recon. Your checks, the climate, the CARES economy, all that deliciousness. But suddenly, that stuff that sort of took away from your identity, that was overshadowing you, is out of your way. It is somewhere else. It's called the bipartisan. And it's in path two. It is Roads and Bridges. Why is this so wonderful? Two wonderful things that you need to know going into this new time. One, identity. Finally, there's identity. Trust me, over the last 3 weeks, we've had enough naysayers that said, fourth stimulus is only about roads and bridges. There's no money in there for the American people. Yeah, there was always a lot of money in there for the American people. You just couldn't hear about it because it was overshadowed by the roads and bridges talk. And how much money is there? There's actually an enormous amount of money in there. Now that the roads and bridges is out of that path and with its path of its own, suddenly we can hear and enjoy and digest all this money that's in the recon for us. Stimulus checks, money for seniors, money for medicine, money for climate, money for the CARES economy, money for young children for 18 years, money for a lot of social reform, climate, clean air, electric vehicle money as well. A lot of money for you. It's money where checks are going to you, not roads or bridges. And so finally we got an identity. Finally, Stella found her groove. Finally, we got our identity. And someone helped us with this. Who? Mitch. Mitch helped us with this. How did he help us? Because finally he started trash talking us. Finally, now that the recon was separated from roads and bridges, Mitch could go in full storm and start to trash talk the recon. But in trash talking it, he told us exactly what's in there. He said it's a lot of Democratic wish lists, a lot of checks for people who don't need checks, a lot of socialism, a lot of things that America will just stay home and get checks over. Well, thank you, Mitch. Thank you for giving a nice briefing on what's in the recon. I really appreciate it. Now, what was the second great thing that came out of this? The second great thing that came out of this is the fort, F-O-R-T. The fort. I call it the fort of stimulus. The fort, a fourth stimulus. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. We had gotten a hint of this about a week ago when Jalapal and the president and also Brian Schatz, all progressives, had said, the president is thanking Jalapal and the progressives for protecting his progressive policies. And Jalapal and Schatz thanking the president for protecting their progressive policy. And we kept on saying, who's protecting what? What are we protecting? Why are we protecting it? Now we know why. All the enormous payment of monies to the Americans that the progressives want you to get is recon. Recon is Progressiveville. It is checks for people. It is climate, which is progressive. It is electric vehicles, which is progressive. It is money for seniors, money for medicine, progressive, money for welfare, progressive, money for children, progressive. It is as progressive. In fact, it is all progressive. And it is now protected in this fort because guess what? Roads and bridges are down the road. They're in the next town. They're practically a different zip code. And now we don't need to protect roads and bridges anymore. We can just protect our recon. Isn't that wonderful? And how do we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot by Jalapal, of course. Jalapal had written that letter to Schumer over 2 weeks ago saying, Chuck, call the vote on the recon. And now Chuck's calling the vote on the recon. Now, that letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus who had written the president a letter saying, Mr. President, call vote on, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package recon. Wow. Can we top that news? We can. As 7 House subcommittee members, more about them later in this video, in the subcommittee that's responsible for writing recon stimulus checks, who wrote your third stimulus recon check, wrote the president saying, Mr. President, we're going to be doing a fourth stimulus recon check. Well, who are these people? These are the people who wrote your first stimulus check. They wrote your second stimulus check. They wrote your third stimulus recon check earlier this year. They say they're writing your fourth stimulus recon check now, and they say they're giving you a fifth stimulus recon check next year. Wow, now that's wonderful news. More about them later in this video. Can we top that? We can. As the president has now anchored fourth stimulus recon to the edge of the finish line by getting a solution for the pay-for of taxes. Now, if there was ever any indication of which path is which, you know very clearly that if you say the word taxes to Mitch, his hair turns blue. Matches my shirt. Bipartisan has nothing to do with taxes. Recon is paid for by raising the corporate tax rate. The corporate tax rate was an issue for the president because he said, if I raise corporate taxes, corporations may leave and go to a country where the tax rate is lower. So I reached out to those countries to get them to raise their corporate tax rate. And those countries tentatively said yes. To which the president said to the staff, I like how this is going. Let's deliver them a potpourri in December and have them sign on the dotted line. Well, then the staff said, no, Mr. President, let's do it now because potpourri is desired in June. It's overseas, it's colder. He said, oh, that's a good idea. And so then 2 weeks ago, on a Saturday, the president went overseas and got those countries to sign on the dotted line now about these taxes internationally, which anchors fourth stimulus recon to the edge of the finish line because now the international tax issue is covered in the international agreement. You don't need to deal with it in the Democratic recon because it's covered by the international agreement. Wow. Now that's wonderful news. Can we top that news? We can. And boy, do we have a shocker. In the third part of this video, for the first time on Noontime LA, there's a lot of breaking news. You're going to hear one Jalapal speaking out in her defense of the fort, in defense of the progressive ideologies, in defense of the linkage. What's the linkage? You're going to find out if you haven't heard it before. And then your villain from 2020. Your deepest villainess is back in 2021 as your hero, ready to slay any attempts by Mitch McConnell to try to win. As Mitch McConnell said yesterday, I appreciate the president, this is Mitch, I appreciate the president saying that he's willing to deal with infrastructure separately, but the president doesn't control the Congress. Well, neither do you, Mitch, anymore. More about that coming up after the commercial break. But what's more wonderful than that are the volunteers. Reach out to the volunteers because they can help you get that rent, utilities, mortgage, and internet if you could not find it yourself. And also Snap. How do you find the volunteers? Open the description. Go in the description and click the link. It'll send you over to the community page. There's an emoji of a house, and next to it says news.la.com/community. On the community page, you'll see a series of some kitty cats. Lower are the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them. Now, they cannot get you invitations to Mitch's Lobster Fest 2021 VIP tickets. They cannot tell you why $12 ice cream sort of tastes the same as $1 ice cream. And they cannot get you tickets to the San Francisco hairstylist either. But they can certainly get you all that other money. And here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with exciting great news about your fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus coming up right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Daily for the excitement of the new LA Live Daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA at 9 a.m. Home LA returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA. The excitement continues on Noontime with big updates about your fourth stimulus and your fifth stimulus coming up in the second half. I saw a lot of questions during the commercial break. What about July 4th? What about the July 4th vote? What about that? I'll be answering that question in just a second. But first, subscribe. 4,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Don't want you to miss a single video. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Also, like this video. Every time you like the video, it helps in the algorithm ranking. It also delivers a side of parsley. And consider becoming a member. And later today is Afternoons LA at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, followed by Evenings LA at 5 p.m. Both of those shows are going to be massive, so make sure you tune into both of them, followed by Overnight's Crypto. Let's get right into fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the voting process, which is really the biggest issue at hand. For the first time ever, you're seeing finally for fourth stimulus, it's no longer an issue of what you're going to get, or where it is, or what's in there, or what are the two paths. The only thing that's left is whether the voting is linked or not linked. So suddenly the things have been all sort of cleared out and settled and made very clear. Only thing left is how they're going to do the voting process. That'll come up in just a second. But first, as a preview, let's go over fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is heating up with so much breaking news. Number one, there will be a fifth stimulus check. Those Democratic House members in that subcommittee, the same ones doing your fourth stimulus right now, say they will be giving you a fifth stimulus check. This is for next year. The legislation starting September, the voting about October, November. Number two, the president is dedicating $1 billion to Social Security Administration, which is huge because all of you that are in the live chat that had problems with your third stimulus check if you're on benefits, no longer going to be a problem he represents. More staffing, newer computers. This is great before fourth and fifth stimulus goes out and also your benefits checks. Finally, the raising up of benefits. Boy, new breaking news today at noontime suggesting that inflation may be just as high as we had heard. Remember, that's your new benchmark in that new SSI, SSDI, VA reform. Claudio Borio, who's head of economic and monetary department at the Bank of International Settlements, said, for those countries that have been trying very hard to get inflation up unsuccessfully, having inflation persistently higher, roughly a target, that would actually be good news and rejoice for that, signaling inflation is going higher. Then the new housing starts number came in really huge. Annual gain 15%. Craig Lazario said April's performance was truly extraordinary. He's at S&P and DJI. And finally, United Airlines signaled how big inflation is, announcing it's hiring 25,000 union jobs in the next few years. Immediately, it's going to be almost 30% of its workforce and buying nearly 270 jets. Wow. Now, how does this play out for your stimulus? So fifth stimulus will involve that raising up of your benefits a lifetime, but we're trying to figure out how high that inflation rate will go. Let's go over the calculations so you figure this out together with me. First, they raise your benefits up. Then they apply a new inflationary benchmark. They remove the asset limit. They remove the marriage penalty, and they remove the income exclusion. Let's go over how this calculates for you. First, they raise your benefits up one big time under fifth stimulus. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or multiple benefits, or casino benefits. Then they'll apply a benchmark. You understand the new benchmark is inflation. You understand what a benchmark is. It is applied in December to determine how much your benefits are going up next year. And you understand that inflation is going up. Well, from this channel, you've also learned that Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve last week, said inflation will reach its highest point in December, which is huge, which is right where they apply your benchmark. The only thing remaining is, in view of all this economic data like this today, is how high will that inflation rate be? Wall Street's still thinking about 10% from 4% now going up. Let's use 10% as an example. That would raise your benefits up next year, 10%, but not just next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. If the year after that, the inflation rate is 1%, then you will be plus 1 plus 10%. Wow, now that's wonderful news. Can we top that? Yes, as they're going to remove the asset cap. The asset cap prevents you from having more than $3,000 in hand and staying on benefits. Now you'll be able to have more stuff in hand, like stimulus checks and a taco. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you will no longer fear loss of benefits due to being married. And you'll be able to get married and not worry about the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus. But boy, these viewers that have been jumping in the live chat with all these big amounts of money they've been getting, if you got any money from this channel, jump in the live chat right now, whether it's $100 or $200. And if you posted before, post it again. If you see those viewers in the live chat right now saying, I got money for SNAP or rent or utilities, how do they get it? They're generally probably members. The membership link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Members are delivered daily from me, a breakdown of all the big money in third stimulus. As soon as third stimulus is passed, I told viewers, yeah, you're going to get a $14 stimulus check. But we aren't tracking that third stimulus check. We're cashing the $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 that you can get from third stimulus. It's application based. And as viewers like Nisi have said, thank you, Lalate. I got rent, utility, SNAP. She got a fortune. I don't even remember how much it was. It was almost $18,000 because she kept on understanding and listening to the videos and realizing I can get this. It's a lot more than $1,400. It's $1,400 times 10. It's just an enormous difference. So consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the channel, the pinned comment. And there you go. Can we top that? Yes. As we go into our final and most important finale update about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. Now, what you need to know is that certain things are clearly understood and agreed upon right now, and certain things sort of look like a battleground, but really aren't. Let's go over the details. It is no longer an issue of what you're getting, because The paths are now very defined. Your stuff was always in the recon, but it was overshadowed by the bipartisan roads and bridges, to which people were saying, there's nothing for you. It's all roads and bridges. No, now that roads and bridges is away from you, and you are left with just your stuff in the recon, it's easier to see the recon. It's also easier to protect the recon. So it's no longer an issue at all of dispute that there's two paths and that your money's in the recon. That's the easy part. So what is the only remaining issue? How are they going to vote? In the comments during the commercial break, viewers say, are they going to still call the vote by July 4th, as Chuck Schumer represented? So far, Chuck is still staying with that July 4th date. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, for over a month have repeated the July 4th date about 1,000 times. But here's what you need to know, which is more important than July 4th or July 1st or July 15th. What you need to know is more important than the date. It's the word linkage. And for the first time, I want you to really zero in on this. It's not so much the date, it's the link. What's the link? You have two paths, the bipartisan and the recon. And what Mitch McConnell said yesterday is call the vote on the bipartisan. Just call the vote on the bipartisan. I don't want to hear about your recon. Well, Mitch is no longer in control of the Senate, so he can't call the vote on anything. But he wants the bipartisan to be called for a vote, so your recon falls by the side of the road. So it's not so much an issue of what date in July they're calling the vote, it's how they call the vote. I'm going to say that again. Going forward, I want viewers to understand it's not an issue of what day in July they're calling the vote, it's how they call the vote. Let's go over why this is important. To pass a bill, it has to be passed in the House, passed in the Senate, and signed by the President. This bill, these two paths, will start in the Senate and go to the House, different than the prior packages. Start in the Senate, go to the House. There'll be two paths. Who calls the vote in the Senate? Only one person determines when we vote in the Senate. One person and only one person. His name is Chuck Schumer. He's majority leader of the Senate. Mitch McConnell no longer has that authority. He can no longer tell you or say or argue when something can be called for a vote. Number two, on the House side, who is the person who's singly responsible for determining when you call something for a vote? Her name is Nancy Pelosi. Now, when I say when to call something for a vote, it's also what to call for a vote. So if Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to call your bill for a vote, she'll never call for a vote. It'll never go anywhere. And if Chuck Schumer never wants to call your bill for a vote, it'll never go anywhere. Here's why it's wonderful news. This is what happened. This is what has happened in the last 12 hours. The president, his White House secretary, said that the president is eager to have both of the bills signed on his desk at the same time. The president intends to sign both pieces of legislation into law, and he's looking forward to have it happen, making it happen. Mitch McConnell came out and said, I appreciate the president saying that. He's willing to deal with infrastructure separately, but he doesn't control the Senate, the Congress. Well, neither do you, Mitch. You're not in control of the Senate anymore. Who is? Chuck Schumer. Here's what you need to know, is that Chuck Schumer nowhere, no how, no way will ever be calling Mitch McConnell stuff for a vote before Chuck calls his own stuff for a vote. Chuck will be calling your recon for a vote first before he calls the bipartisan for a vote, because he's not going to throw bipartisan on the side of the road so they can pass stuff for Mitch McConnell. Absolutely not. Now, if it's even more clear to you, the progress that the president wants is recon and bipartisan passed from the Senate and sent to the House. Well, in the event that something goes strange, which is not predictable, which is not available at this time, because Chuck Schumer is going to protect the voting process, but in the event it does, and that recon fell apart in the Senate, and that bipartisan tried to come out of the Senate into the House, guess what Nancy Pelosi said? Don't even try it with me. Your bipartisan will blow up. OMG. She basically gave a warning that said, you follow Chuck's lead, because if you send me the junk, I'm throwing it in the garbage can. our villainess for 2020 is our hero? Yes, she is. Let's read her comment. I'm going to read it verbatim. There ain't going to be no bipartisan bill unless we have the recon. And as I said, there won't be a bipartisan bill unless we have the recon. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan unless we have the recon passed by the United States Senate. Done. OMG. She's saying we are passing recon first, and you can then pass your bipartisan after that and send it to me, but don't you darn care try to send me just bipartisan and not recon. Suddenly you see, it's how they vote, not the day of the vote. And while I appreciate viewers jumping in the live chat saying July 4th, July 3rd, July 2nd, July 1st, it's more important how they call the vote. Because if you call the vote the wrong way, it goes astray. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to go astray. Now, can we get even more better news than that? We can. And guess who gives us the icing on the cake? Just one choice. Just one guess. Jalapal. In the last 24 hours, Jalapal came out. And guess what she said? Let's just read the quote before we tell you the spoiler of what it said. We have an agenda that we have to accomplish. And linking the two bills is the only way it's going to get accomplished. Democrats have a approach, and linking bipartisan and recon together is the only way it's going to happen. We, meaning Democrats, did a poll of our members 10 days ago. She said this last night. So they polled the members 10 days ago. They were plotting this out for a week and a half, I told you. And the overwhelming majority of our caucus, Democrat caucus, is that they're not going to vote for the bipartisan deal without the recon package. Insane. Wonderful, wonderful news. That's why the second part of this video was so important. Fort Stimulus is being protected by Jalapal, the president, Nancy, and Chuck. Protected like it is gold and myrrh and frankincense. Its identity is coming to form as we now see everything that's in there that was always in there for you, but that was overshadowed by roads and bridges for 3 weeks. Now, roads and bridges are out of recon, they're somewhere else, and this is being protected because guess what? There's progressiveness in there all over the place. Checks for you, checks for seniors, checks for climate, checks for medicine, checks for children. There's checks for people all over the place. Progressive ideology, progressive policies, left and right, money for you, and the vote is being protected. With that, I hope you understand the importance of, they can still get a forced stimulus check out of the month of July, but the importance is not what date they're calling the vote, is how they call the vote. And with that, thank you for joining me on this big noontime broadcast. I'm next back with you at Afternoons LA, and you see there's a lot of breaking news today. So make sure you join me at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Afternoons LA. That's going to be a big show, followed by Evenings LA at 5 p.m., and then Overnight's Crypto. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Every membership gets you the delivery daily of all the big money on the third and fourth stimulus, because we're cashing checks on this channel, not tracking checks. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.